We are on week 9 now, so this is going to be your assessment week for Unit 4. So you can kind of see you have the two assignments. One's going to be the project, one is going to be a multiple choice test, and then as usual you're going to have to do your weekly check-in. So if we look at the details, you will see that this week you are going to do those two assignments, the project and the multiple choice test. These open for you October 6th. You have to do them by midnight on October 12th. So these are assessments, but the late penalty does apply. So make sure you get them done on time. If we look at the multiple choice test, it's going to be 15 questions. Each question's just going to ask you some stuff about this unit, so make sure you reviewed everything. The project's probably going to take up most of your time. So you'll see the details for the project in here. There is a planning guide, right? So I would say most people lost points. Well, if you lost points on the Unit 3 assessment, most people lost points because they did not complete the planning guide in full. So make sure you are reading through this and doing every single step if you want to get those points. So for this app, it's going to be an app that allows a user to make a decision. So you're going to be using the variables, the conditionals, the logical operators, the if-else statements, along with the on events and everything that you learned in Unit 3 to build an app that's going to make a decision for the user. So when you're done, you're going to submit your app on code.org, and then you're also going to upload this project planning guide to Canvas. As far as the app requirements, so you need to use two variables in this app, but make sure that one is storing a number value and one is storing a string value. So if you want to use more than two variables, that's fine. I just need to see that you have at least one number and at least one string. And those variables have to be used in a conditional statement somewhere. Right? You have to have a function that updates the screen. So you're going to have to define the update screen function, and then you're going to have to call it at least twice in your program. All right, so make sure you review that update screen pattern. Your conditional statement needs to include at least one logical operator. Remember, those logical operators are the and, the or the not. So your conditional statement could say, like, if age is greater than 40 and money is equal to or greater than 25, right? So then I've used the conditional statement, I've used my two variables, one string, one number, and I've used a logical operator. Your app needs to have at least 3 different possible outputs, right? So based on this conditional statement with these logical operators, you need to build at least an if, else to output one of 3 decisions based on the inputs that the user gives you. Every function needs to have a comment explaining its purpose and functionality. So in your code on code.org, you're going to add a comment above your function where you explain the purpose and the functionality. Right? It needs to have clear and easy to use navigation. Code needs to be clean, free of errors or warnings. Do not forget the stuff from Unit 3, right? So make sure your elements have proper IDs. Make sure your functions are named using descriptive names with camel case. All of that stuff that you've learned, right? So as far as the planning guide goes, step 1, you're going to brainstorm some ideas. So you need to come up with 3 possible topics. You then need to choose one that you're most interested in. You don't have to explain it this time. Just tell me the one that you chose. You're then going to have to get feedback from 2 people. So this could be siblings, parents, friends, coworkers. Just tell me what their name is and what information is needed to make a decision based on your topic. Right? This chart here is where you're going to tell me the information about your variable. So you need to have your variable name, what is being stored, and the type. Right? So is it a number, a string, or a Boolean? Just remember, I should see at least 2 here, and one should say number and one should say string, and when I run your app, it should actually be storing a number or actually storing a string. All right, we talked about these flowcharts in one of the videos, so you're going to have to write a flowchart for your app. So I wouldn't make these apps too complicated. I would keep them pretty simple and to the point. But in your flow chart, right, they're going to kind of detail what it is. You can do it directly in here. You can write it on paper, take a picture of it, and paste that into this section. But I need to see the two variable names, right? The question that's being asked up top, then the two variable names. These diamonds are where you're going to make your decisions, right? So you're going to say, like, if age is greater than 40 or money is less than 50, whatever that decision is, just know you have a logical operator involved in this. So there's going to be at least two of these in your flow chart, or you need to write one with the entire expression in it. And then the lines coming off the diamond for when that condition is true versus when it's false. And then this rectangle would be at the bottom of this line explaining what decision was made, right? So I should be able to see your two variables, one number, one string, the decisions being made, and then at least three outputs, right? Based on whether it's true, false, for which condition you're checking. All right, so I need to see the flow chart in here. You're still going to do a mock-up. Right, this app does not have a screen requirement, so you could do this all on a single screen, so you only need to do one of these. But if you have multiple screens, there's a couple spots for you. Again, you can do them on paper, take a picture, paste it in here. You can do it directly in here using Paint or something. You could go to Cami and create these however you want to do it. Just make sure it gets to me. All right, step 7 is just going to have you build the app. Once you've built it, you're going to go to step 8. That's where you're going to have to, again, talk to two people. Get both of these questions answered. Based on those two people you talk to and what improvements are being recommended, you need to select one improvement and implement it in your app. So make sure I can see it. So that'll be step 10, is actually implementing that change. And then don't forget step 11. This is where you're going to answer these two reflection questions. So 1, explain how the program determines which block of code to execute. So what you need to do is go in here and in about 150 words, kind of explain your if, else statement line by line. I need to see that you understand how those statements work, right? That's kind of your goal here. So you'll just talk about the if, else, the conditions that are being checked, and then the outcomes that are being produced based on those conditions. Right, and then step 2, explain how this procedure helps manage the complexity of your program. So what this is really asking is explain how the function you wrote makes your app easier to code. Right? The idea is abstraction. You're pulling that set of instructions off to the side, you're giving it a name that is a function, so that when you want to run those lines of code, you don't have to write them multiple times. You can just call it directly and it will run the code for you. So you just have the code written once and then you call it when you need it. The other point you can make in there is that, in doing so, you're going to have less lines of code. If you need to make a change to the instructions, you only have to go to one spot, not multiple spots. That's kind of what I'm looking for in question 2. All right. So when you are working on the app, make sure that you are in Unit 4, lesson 12, and you're going to go to level 8. All right, so again, that's Unit 4, lesson 12, level 8. You're going to code your app in here from start. You'll have access to any control, function, variable that we have taught in this class. There's going to be some that are new. If you know how to use them and want to use them, that's fine. Just make sure once you're done that you run and submit this app so that your bubble fills in and I can see your app. If you don't submit it, I'm not able to see it. All right, so for the planning guide, once you're done with that, you're going to say File, Download, and choose PDF. That PDF is what you will upload to Canvas once you start this assignment. All right, you'll have the Start Assignment button, so you'll click that. Like I said, the code you're just going to submit directly on code.org by just running and submitting. For the planning guide, you're going to, once you have it done, say File, Download, PDF, upload that to Canvas. And then at some point this week, you will need to complete the multiple choice test, which again is 15 questions. And it's going to look a lot like the lessons that you were doing over the last couple weeks, where it might give you some code and ask you what's the value of the variable going to be after this code runs. It might be like, hey, here's a function, which one of these lines will correctly call the function, or hey, here's a function, or sorry, here's some code. Some of this code is repeated. Which lines would you pull out to create a function if you were required to do so? It's going to be stuff like that. All right, so if you have any questions, come see me or send me an email. Don't forget to do your weekly check-ins, and I'll see you next week.